Hello everybody, this is Jonathan Hudson, and today I'm going to talk about impload, which is a cross-platform tool to help manage inav mission plans. So the clue's in the name to some degree. Implan stands for inav mission plan loader. So what it is, its purpose is to effectively manage alien missions, and by alien I don't mean ones that fell out of outer space, but ones that are in formats that are not the customary inav format. So what we can use impload for is things like converting mission formats into the multi-WE XML that most of the inav tools expect. We can also use this to upload missions in a whole variety of formats, and we'll see those in a second, to the flight controller, and also store them in the EEPROM on the flight controller. It can download from the flight controller, and it can restore missions from the EEPROM, save them back out to a file on your computer system. So it's kind of a workaround for the inav 2.5 and 2.6 waypoint types that are not supported by the configurator but are supported by other inav mission planners and are also available in some ArduPilot tools. And of course these waypoint types include the jump, land, and timed position hold from 2.5. And coming to 2.6 we will have set position of interest and set heading. So these are the formats that impload understands. First of all, it understands multi-WE XML, so this is effectively the native format for inav mission planning. It's supported by MWP, the mission planner, EZGUI, and mission planner for inav, which are Android applications, and to some degree it's supported by the inav configurator, but not the more recent waypoint types. It can also handle the mission plan formats of two of the ArduPilot mission planners, so Q Ground Control and APM Planner 2, respectively the plan files, which are a JSON format from Q Ground Control, and the text files, which have the heading line of QGC WP110 from APM Planner 2. You can also load those into Q Ground Control, but you can only save its JSON format. Impload can also deal with Kml and Kmz, or Kmz for our American friends. So typically you'd create these in Google Earth with save as path, though obviously you can't really set the more complex waypoint types in that sort of application. Likewise, it can handle Gpx files, so a lot of kind of geospatial route planners use Gpx, so sort of things you might use for hiking or cycling planning, and impload handles its waypoint, route point, and track point formats. It can import missions in CSV as well, so if your idea of a good time is planning missions in Excel, then maybe this is the tool for you. And it also understands missions in MWP's JSON format as well. So for uploading and downloading to the flight controller, impload supports most of the common devices that we use on our inav flight controllers, so serial devices, which might be USB, Bluetooth, or some other transparent serial link, for example, a 3DR radio. The main thing about them is that there's a UART on inav, and there's some kind of converter on your computer. We also support network connections, so TCP and UDP connections. Typically those would be used with something like the ESP8266 Wi-Fi device, or there is one that was sold many years ago for, it was called Pix Wi-Fi, I think, which was just a TCP device. And on Linux for Bluetooth you can use raw Bluetooth sockets as well. So impload is a cross-platform application. It's available for effectively numerous operating systems. You can build impload for any operating system that supports the Go programming language, and on the GitHub repository there are precompiled binaries for in alphabetical order, FreeBSD on 64-bit platforms, Linux on AMD Intel 64, 32-bit platforms, and also on ARM7. On Macintosh, Mac OS operating system, again AMD 64, and there is also a Windows Win32 binary, and obviously that'll run on 64-bit Windows systems as well, and it should work on at least Windows 7 to Windows 10. So it's on GitHub, and the link is there on the screen, and I'll put it in the description of the video if I remember. So if we just go to the GitHub site, there's a description of it, what it does, most of what you've just heard me say, how to use it, some use cases, how to install it, but most people will just install a binary, and some examples of its use, and I'm going to go through those examples in this video in a minute. And the postscript, yes, I do know how to spell the word implode. So GitHub has just changed its user interface, and it's put the releases to the side now just to fool everybody. So if we go to the releases, we can see that there are individual archives for the operating systems I mentioned, and in the archive there will be the binary for that operating system. So for a change today, I'm doing this in a Windows VM, and one of the reasons for this is that there seems to be a sort of corpus of Windows users who are not particularly familiar with the command line, and this is a command line application. So I thought I'd demonstrate this in Windows, just to demonstrate the Windows command line and the fact that it is a cross-platform application. So this is the file we want, and I happen to have already downloaded that to my desktop. So let's go to the desktop, and here we have the zip file that I downloaded from GitHub. So standard Windows stuff, if I can remember it. Right click, extract all, and on my desktop is fine, so I'm going to extract it, and it's now created. Oh, it even opens for me. Isn't Windows clever? And it opens the folder it's unpacked to, and inside that folder there's a single other directory called impload release. And if I click on that, there we have the impload executable. So I can't run it from here. It's a command line application. I have to run it from a terminal, so either the Windows command cmd.exe or PowerShell. So I believe in the Windows Explorer here I can shift click, and it says open PowerShell window here, so let's do that. And eventually PowerShell will get its act together, and I'll remember to type dir rather than ls. And there we are, there's the impload application. So I just run it without doing anything. Do I have to do implode.exe? Yeah. So you can tell I don't use Windows very often. So it tells me the usage of it. So there are some options, a command, which is what we wanted to do, and 1 or 2 files depending on the action we are doing. So the commands are upload, uploads a mission, so we also need a file to the flight controller, download, downloads from the flight controller. If you give it a file, it'll be stored in that file. If you don't give it a file, it'll just display on the terminal. Restore, store is upload and then store to EEPROM. Restore is restore from EEPROM, then download. Convert converts the file from whatever format it's in into the MW XML, so multi-we XML, kind of our native file format, and test just tests our serial connection to the flight controller, and we'll hook up a flight controller in a minute and do that. So if you're doing this on Windows or Mac OS, you may not be running, for some reason, you may not be running MWP, and that might be because building it on Windows is slightly tricky, and building it on Mac OS, unfortunately, well, it builds fine, it just won't run due to the way OpenGL stuff is encoded on the Mac OS operating system that the Linux library doesn't understand, which is really, really sad. But so one of the options on these operating systems is to run something like Q ground control, which understands or has equivalents to the waypoint types that the inav configurator currently doesn't know about. So here I have an instance of Q ground control, and I'm going to open a Q ground control mission that I created earlier, rather than even embarrassing myself even more by trying to create it live online. So desktop plan. Yeah, okay, great. Can I zoom in? Yeah. Okay, so here we have a mission which I've set around a well-known landmark in the north of England for a change. A landmark that's actually famed for its optical restorative properties, or at least it was in the spring of 2020, and if you watch this video in 2 years' time, you'll just think I've gone absolutely crazy. So this mission has a number of complex types in it. It has a jump from waypoint 3 to waypoint 6, and a jump from waypoint 6 to waypoint 1. And this is listed in this list here, and you can click on them and it'll tell you more about it. And I have to say, I really don't like it. It's completely counterintuitive as to how it's going to fly this mission, but well, that's just the way it is. So I've made the mission. Let's say I'm happy with it. I'm now going to save it, and I'm going to save it in the same directory that I put the impload executable in, and you'll see the method in my madness in a second. So save as impload win32, impload release, and I'm just going to call it bcastle.plan. Save. Okay, it's saved. Close that. dir. And there we are, there's my bcastle.plan in my impload directory, and if we flip over to Windows Explorer, yeah, it's there too, and of course Windows doesn't know what to do with it. So, I'm going to run implode, and I'm just going to run it with the convert command name of the file, and I'm not going to give it an output file, so it'll do the conversion and we'll see the results in the terminal. Hit return, and God, I hate this font. So here we are, it's converted it, it's an XML file, it's a mission, tells you it was created by impload, from what, Q ground control JSON, and we can see there are the waypoints, there's the jump, and now we can see that we jump from waypoint 3 to waypoint 6, we do it twice. Some more waypoints at waypoint 6, then following that we have another jump, which jumps to waypoint 1, it does that 3 times. We have a return to home after waypoint 8, and we have a pos hold timed at waypoint 5. So I'm going to run that conversion again, only this time I'm going to convert it to a file, and this will be a file that Multi-Week Planner understands, that EZ GUI understands, that Mission Planner for inav understands, and the configurator kind of understands, but it'll get bits of it sort of wrong. It doesn't understand the jump, it gets confused because the jump's latitude and longitude is 0, so it thinks you're going to the equator and back, so it'll get the distance horrendously wrong. So it's run, it happened in a flash of an eye, I've done the conversion. If I look at it in the Windows Explorer, we can see I've now got bcastle.mission. So, shock horror, MWP for Windows. Don't believe all the fake news on other channels that tells you it's Linux only. It's run on Windows for nearly 5 years now, almost as long as it's existed for inav. So I'm going to go and open the mission. And there we are. Just zoom out a bit. There we are. Let's have a look at the mission list. So here we are, we've got another view of the mission. Actually, one other thing I want to do. Yeah, I've just created a sort of fake start point for reasons that will become apparent in a second. So, if you've seen some of my other planning videos on the new waypoint types, you will have actually seen this mission before. Its unique selling point is that it visits waypoint 5, the timed position hold, precisely once. So, from the start, waypoint 1, waypoint 2, 3, jump to 6, jump to 1, do that twice, then it'll go to 5, it'll do its position hold, 6, 1, 2, 3, 6. We've exhausted the jumps back to 1, so it'll go to 8, it'll go home. And we can preview it as well. So I'm now going to hit preview mission, and you'll see the little model fly this mission. Even on Windows. Wonderful, eh? 1, 2, 3, jump, jump, 2, 3, jump, jump, 2, 3, position hold timed, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, return to home. So there we are. Well, that's how I expect the mission to fly. Now, I don't really need impload at all. I can just I can connect the flight controller, file, upload mission, save mission, be done. But this video is about impload, not MWP. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. There, let's minimize that. And there will be a short, I don't know, beep intermission, whatever, while I plug in flight controller and Kml Kmz, absolutely wonderful virtualization system, best ever. We'll, with a bit of luck, it always says redirection error, but it's lying. Because if we go into the redirect, it has recognised an inav Matec F4 I guess F4 device, and it has, I believe, passed it through to Windows. I could probably go and find out. I guess I should have done this before, because I'm now going to seriously embarrass my lack of not knowing what I'm doing here, I guess. I don't know, there must be some way of finding out. I think it's on COM3 anyway, but we can find out. So impload -d for the device name, COM3 test. Impload.exe. God, this is embarrassing. Huh? Yeah. Okay, attempt 3 to get it right. It's just like Linux. It wants a dot. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I run impload.exe -d to tell it what the device name is. So impload -help impload.exe. Just hit me when I get that wrong again, somebody. /impload.exe. I hate PowerShell. It's even worse than. Okay, you now understand why I like Linux and I don't use Windows. It has taken me 4 attempts to run this simple command line program. /impload.exe -help. -d is the name of the serial device. On Linux it will auto detect it. On Windows I have to give it the device. So what I did was impload.exe -d COM3 test. So that just tests that it can talk to the flight controller. Let's do it again. Perfect. It has found it is, and the flight controller is connected. It's told me it's running actually the sort of development set of inav at the moment. It says 2.6. Tells you what the board is, the build ID, the multi-WE API, the fact that the quadcopter is called Miss Piggy for reasons that would be obvious if you could see it, and that there are no waypoints in the flight controller. So let's upload bcastle.mission. It's upload, isn't it? Like, I've got help there because it's upload. Impload.exe -d COM3 upload bcastle.mission. And I'm just going to say this was easy. So it has uploaded 9 points. I didn't tell it to save. It now tells me it has got 9 waypoints in the flight controller and it is valid. Cool. So now I'm going to download it from the flight controller. I've not given it a file name, so it will just display the mission in the terminal. And there we have it. Again, there was this bit of stuff at the top. 9 points, 1 through to 9, and it's the mission we saw. Waypoint, 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 jump, pause hold, waypoint, jump, waypoint, return to home. So there we are. That is implode. So what else? Just for completeness, I could store that into the EEPROM on the flight controller, So then I can power it off, take it to the field, use the transmitter stick command to load it back into volatile memory, which inav needs to actually execute the mission. So let's store it. There we are. And again, you get the bit at the beginning that tells you what flight controller it is, the name of the model, the number of the points. I uploaded 9. This time save was true because I saved it. It tells me it saved the mission. And there are 9 waypoints. And the final thing I could do then is restore it. So let's restore it to -2. So Windows Explorer. There is no file here called bcastle-2 at the moment. Impload.exe -dcom3 restore bcastle-2.mission. Let's go. So it says it's restored the mission, and it's not cat, is it? It's Windows. It must be type. There we are. bcastle-2. Let's have a look at it. And there we are. It is effectively the same mission that was converted from the plan file that we created in Q ground control. And the difference in file size of 130 odd bytes is because there's a bit more information about it in the original one. So there's the original one that has the bit more information in, but effectively they're the same file. The precision has changed as well. So which one has got the most precision? Yep, okay, so when I converted it, it converted it to a ridiculous number of decimal places, and when it restored it, it saves it to 7 decimal places, which effectively is the way that the upload and download inav mechanism works. It effectively only saves a certain number of decimal places. But that is centimetre accuracy, and as of yet, our machines don't fly to centimetre accuracy, so that's fine. It's really just bogus precision at the end there in the bottom file. So there we are. That was impload, an inav mission plan, uploader, converter, Swiss Army knife kind of thing. If you're running inav on a platform that makes it difficult to use the later waypoint types, and obviously you want to use the later waypoint types, then impload may be useful to you. And if you're familiar with Windows, then I'm sure you'll find using it on Windows a lot easier than I appeared to do. So if you have been, thanks for watching, and good flying.